Hi, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And if you're from the newsletter, sorry I'm late. So this week we are talking all about moisture. I'm actually launching the Moisture Series, so I'm super excited. This is going to be so awesome. I'm super excited too because you guys know I colored my hair. So you definitely need moisture. So the Moisture Series is going to hold us all accountable for moisturizing our hair and getting our locks right. My name is Jocelyn Renee. If you're not familiar with me, I am a loctician and influencer in the natural hair community, and I'm here to basically educate you on lock hair care, how to take care of your hair at home, or whether or not you choose to go to a professional, just kind of extending that education. I am a licensed cosmetologist, and I chose to get my license because I was a blogger and I really didn't know what the hell I was talking about. So I chose to get educated, and so now I'm using the things that I've learned, the knowledge that I've acquired over that time to help everyone else. Like, that is my passion, that's my mission, that is why I'm here. But anyway, tonight we're talking about moisture. All this week I'll be talking about moisture, and then on Sunday the Moisture Series kicks off. So the Moisture Series is a 30-day intensive educational series that's going to educate you on how to take care of your locks, how to improve your total body wellness, and how to really rejuvenate and get hydration into your hair because it's so needed. So many people said that dryness is one of their biggest issues. So here we are talking about moisture. If you can't stay the whole Periscope, click the link in my profile, and that's going to give you kind of like all the notes or articles that reference things that I'm going to be talking about tonight. So just in case you can't stay long, I do have a backup for you. So the 3 things basically that I want you to keep in mind as we talk about the number 1 mistake with locks and moisture is using oils and butters to moisturize your hair is that locks hold on to products, number 1. Oil and butters do not moisturize your hair, okay? And that butters are really heavy. They're really heavy for your locks. So you guys got those 3 things? Locks hold on to products, oils do not moisturize your hair, butters are really heavy. 3 things you want to keep in mind. Are you guys familiar with the stages of hair locking? No coconut oil. Me personally, I don't really recommend coconut oil. And the reason behind that is coconut oil tends to solidify. And we'll get into it. We'll get into it with this first point I want to make. And that's the stages of hair locking. Not familiar with the stages. Okay, so depending on who you ask, there are 4, some people say 5 stages of hair locking. Kind of varies, but they're all, the gist of it is the same. So you have the baby stage or starter phase, whatever you want to call it. That's the first stage. And then you have the teenage phase, then the adult phase, and then the mature phase. Okay, so those 4 stages of hair locking, essentially. Really, you can probably even cut it down to 3. So it's 3 major stages, we'll say that. In the starter lock phase, your locks are, you know, they're really 2-strand twists or coils or braids or however you choose to start. They're really not locks. And so your hair is kind of just together, just kind of hanging out, just, you know, getting to know each other. And as they begin to mature, they start intertwining with each other. And that's when you start getting into the teenage phase. They start kind of blending together, going different places, and the intermatrix of your lock starts to get tighter. And as they mature, they get even more tighter. That's why locks, they start off as like twists, and they start off skinny, and then they swell, they get really big, trying to find their place, and then they get smaller again because they've found their place, they came together, and now they're maturing, okay? So when you think of putting like heavy, like Jamaican black castor oil, coconut oil, shea butter, any product like that, like one of those 3 products, onto your locks at any one of those stages, think about how it's going to get out of there. yeah, that's like the locking process. A lot of people don't really take that into consideration. So you really have to think about how the products that you put in your locks are going to get out of your locks. I wish I knew all of this when I cut off my Desert Dry Straw like 7-year-old's locks 10 years ago. So yeah, I mean, this is not really, I talk about this with people that are subscribed to my newsletter, that there's not really an industry-wide standard for hair locking. So a lot of this information is kind of like you have to pull it in from different places, and some people say this and some people say that. I'm not saying this is like the end-all be-all locked hair care education. I'm telling you from my professional and my personal experience how the locking process has been cultivated through my hands, through the hands of people that I've trained under and work with and see on a daily basis, and also my head as well, because I've gone through using shea butter, I've gone through using coconut oil, and I'm here to tell you it's not a good thing to do. So with each of those stages, getting back to what I was talking about, because I'm not going to keep you long, but getting back to those stages, at each stage, how long does it take to transition one stage to the next? That's a great question, and that transition time depends widely on everyone's texture and care. So if you color your hair, or because of buildup and no one said anything about it, yeah, with the coconut oil, your texture will determine how long it's going to take, what products you're using, how often you're coloring, how often, what type of environmental things you have. People often don't take that into consideration. Like if you're in a drier climate, you need different things. If you're swimming often, if you're coloring often, if you're bleaching, all those things go into the transition period. But generally, just a general blanket, you can kind of expect to be in the baby or starter lock phase for at least a year, the first year generally. And then the teenage phase kind of lasts, for most people, 6 to 8 months. And so after like 18 months, you're kind of entering the adult phase. Maybe. This is not hard set. This is just like generally you can think about it. So when people tell you, oh, your hair will lock in 4 months or 6 months, they're just telling you your hair is going to bud or seal at the end. That by no means your hair is locked. That's another misconception. So we have the three. We're just talking about 3 stages tonight. Just break it down to 3. Baby, teenage, adult phase. Each of those phases responds differently to products. And I really, really appreciate you sharing in the heart. So just wanted to jump in there and say that. So each of those stages products respond differently. So if you have dry hair, or if you feel like your locks are dry, your first reaction should not be to reach for an oil. Imagine a plant. Always say, think of locks as a plant, okay? You're parting this area right here, that's your roots. These are your roots, and they feed into your tree, your trunk. This is, so imagine a plant. If you have a plant that has dry soil, and you pour oil on that soil, and then it rains, is that plant gonna get hydrated? No, it's not, because oil does not mix with water, right? It'll sit on top of it. So yeah, your locks are going to look shiny, which oftentimes we equate to moisturized or healthy, but internally your lock is not going to be hydrated. And so what happens is it starts to break off from the inside out. And so that's when you start seeing locks that are kind of hanging on by a thread, or they're like thick and then they get skinny. It's because it's not receiving moisture, or it's not receiving the hair care that it needs to stay hydrated, to be healthy, to hold on to everything else. Like, all locks are an accumulation of your shed hair. So if you don't take care of everything, there's no way that it can hold on to everything. Okay? So in essence, you're making them drier. Exactly. You're making your hair drier if you're putting an oil on top of it if it's already dry. Okay? So what you need, what your hair is asking for when it gets really frizzy, when you start to hear it kind of scratching against itself, your hair needs moisture. Moisture comes from water. Water is the universal moisturizer. So you need to apply water before you apply an oil at any time. Yes, there are oils that have emollient properties, and that's the difference. That's what people confuse. People confuse emollient with moisture. If you have something that's emollient, that means it helps you to retain moisture. If you want something that moisturizes, it adds moisture content to your hair. So if you're using like your tap water or just like common water, chances are it will dry your hair out because oftentimes our water it's hard. So it doesn't, the pH is not something, pH goes into hair care. If the pH of your hair, hey Nikki, the pH of your hair is 4.5 to 5, around that pH. If in the pH of 7, the pH of water is 7. So that means water is it has 3 times the potential hydrogen than your hair. So yeah, it can dry your hair out if you're not using distilled water, number one, and also using an emollient oil that's going to help your hair retain what it needs. That's a big mistake. So you want to always apply distilled water if you're doing it yourself, or a moisturizing mixture that is water-based to your locks before you put any type of oil on it. And if you're like, say if you have sister locks and they're mature, what you would do is only oil your scalp. So the reason why you would oil your scalp is because our scalp naturally produces oil through the sebaceous glands, and that oil is meant to naturally go to the ends of our hair. That's why people that have straighter textures wash their hair so frequently, because it's so oily from their sebaceous glands. And that's a different type of oil. So yeah, you don't want to put oil on your hair. This is the gist of this scope and one of the biggest mistakes that people often make. So if you're interested in learning all that you need to know about moisturizing your hair, I invite you to join the Moisture Series that I have going on. It's going to be for 30 days, and we're going to have live workshops where we're going to talk in the New Growth Academy about how to moisturize your hair, what you're missing, how to build a healthy moisturizing regimen, and how to heal internally first, not just trying to put a topical solution on your hair, because that is a big misconception. So registration for the Moisture Series ends on Friday. It's Tuesday. So definitely hop in there if you are interested and you have locks, so you want to learn more about how to build a healthy regimen. Just go to newgrowthseries.com. That's newgrowthseries.com. And all the details are there. Oh, I totally forgot one other special thing. You'll get a copy. If you join the Moisture Series, you get a copy of my first ebook. How could I forget? I've been like so hyped today. I got it in the shop and everything. It's a 40-page book, okay, about moisturizing your locks. 40 page, like when I was writing it, I was like, really, why do I have 40 pages about moisturizing your hair? But it's that important, okay? There's so many things that go into it that people don't understand, so I wrote a book about it. So you get that book complimentary by joining the Moisture Series. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. I really appreciate you joining me, and I will talk to you tomorrow.